What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Swolcrates here, and we're back with episode 77 of the video game therapy series. If you didn't catch what I did there, I combined Socrates the philosopher with Swole. It's kind of a play on those gym memes that were popular back. There was like a Harry Potter one that was really funny, like Harry Squatter or Ron the Barbell Weasley or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, we're back with episode 77. Sorry, I'm gonna do something a little more mentally taxing this time, so hopefully I don't get completely lost on what I'm doing. I'm building our gold farm, or my gold farm, not yours. Anyway, the first thing I want to talk about today is more existential threats to humanity and just I don't know, a good world, kind of. I don't know, because in a lot of ways, maybe the vices of humans go beyond just our other human influence. It's kind of reaches a level where negatively affecting the entire planet. But regardless, existential threats to the human race. I think something else I've kind of I myself obviously not the original diagnoser of this problem, but I'm someone who's going to talk about it now. But pleasure. Like I said before, I kind of have this opinion on this of this yin and yang of pleasure, where like a world without pleasure is not one that really can exist, because I think that like in order for pleasure to exist, there has to be pain. And really, it's not even like pleasure itself is the problem. It's not like a life well lived is one that cannot be pleasureful ever. But it's just like I don't know, like the terror of pain, like people being just terrified of pain, and their entire life is to be devoid of pain. Not that you should be a masochist, or that everyone needs to be some degree of masochist and like and enjoy pain. I'm not saying that. Like pain, like a healthy relationship with pain is where pain is painful, but pain does not. You don't forego pain in every instance. You're not just this min-maxer of minimizing pain and maximizing pleasure, which I think is a dangerous. Is a again I would put it on the level of an existential threat to the human race. And I don't know, because I think about the like I guess there's different kinds of pleasure, and I'm still going to talk specifically about entertainment, only because that's our strongest notion of pleasure that we see, and I guess our modern society is entertainment is so. But the level of ease at which it's gotten from where it perhaps once was is problematic in some sense. And the way I frame this is like active versus passive pleasure. So all of our pleasure now, all of our leisure time, everything that we enjoy is all. It's not all. I'm not saying all. I'm saying mostly. Like speaking about 99% of people, it's all like passive. Whereas I think historically we might have had a lot more active things of pleasure. Like the example. So the reason I even came up with this is I read an essay by Aldous Huxley, who was the author of like A Brave New World and a few other good novels and essays, but he wrote one on pleasure, and of course this was like I don't know 100 years ago at this point, because you know he's older. But he said that there was an old king who, as like a wedding gift for him getting married, like his reward was like this. Not reward, but his this gift was was like a sermon given by some person on like, it wasn't a sermon on like I don't know, God or something. I think it was more on like metaphysics, I think. But it was like a king that like as a wedding gift got this basically like 3 hours of these people arguing, which is kind of an absurd gift by today's standards. Can you imagine the look on somebody's face if if it was a gift to them for again, basically people just lecturing or arguing amongst themselves about metaphysics. But in a lot of ways, it was this it is this very active form of leisure. Like leisure was a very active thing. Same with like sports. At a point in history, there was most people didn't just watch football. Like it was all like you did stuff. You like played tennis, you played whatever. Whereas now it seems like the leisure activities, tend more and more towards just watching, or I mean, in some cases, just gambling on it, which I think which is just the most abhorrent of all of them, right? I mean, it's one thing to not play the sport and just kind of enjoy watching it, but it's another thing to not only not even watch it, you're just gambling on it, which I think is a further degradation of our activities of leisure. So I think just and of course I'm not here to change the world. I can't change anyone else's opinion. I can barely even change my own opinion on a lot of things. It's hard enough. Arguing with myself is really enough of a challenge to keep any one person busy. And I'm no exception. So, okay, what do I do for myself here? Because that's really the only thing I can, I can bitch about everyone else all day, but that's not going to do anything. So I think for myself, I really want to have, active pleasures. So like I can enjoy things, like I can enjoy music, but I should tend towards creating, music. And, part of the argument against this would be like, oh, well, you're never going to make music as good as Drake or something. So why not just listen to his music instead of like trying to make your own, like you're a shitty artist. And if anyone's listened to my songs I put on the stupid channel, they're pretty bad. I never took any classes of no formal education in this, in beat making or just like being a lyricist. I don't even know if there's classes on any of that shit, like bars 101 or something. But regardless, I certainly haven't, not only have I not taken a class, which should be evident by my my lyrical prose, but I certainly haven't taken it to heart. Even if I did take a class, certainly didn't apply any theories. I don't have any music theory knowledge. I can't read music, but I still, I still think it is better for me. And again, I'm not prescribing anyone else to do. They can do whatever they want. But for me, I want to have active pleasures versus passive pleasures. Like my worst nightmare is just, me doing whatever my stupid work is or whatever, and then like going home and just watching CSI or watching some other bullshit and just doing nothing, right? Like watching sports. I love basketball. It's one of the sports I love to play, but I don't watch basketball. I used to watch a lot more sports, but now I don't even watch them because it just seems, I don't know. I'm like, would rather play, I can't. You can't get a soccer or football game together on any random afternoon. So I'm not advocating for to do that. But I just think in general, we're in a world where it's so easy to have passive pleasures. I think it's important for me just individually, and again, I hope more people take something like this to heart. But for people to have more active pleasures, because I really do think this like the admonishment of pain and just pain is just as a historical footnote, it is not only like not possible, but is also just dystopian. I think a world with logically can't even have a world without pain because it's kind of a zero sum thing, right? And I'm not saying we have to trap a kid somewhere and like I forget the novel or the movie where they like it's this perfect utopia, everyone's happy, but in exchange they have like one kid who's locked up in a basement being tortured. I don't know if know what the I don't know what the name of the book or movie is or whatever, but that's one of the things is like it's kind of a zero sum game, so you're only going to have as much pleasure as you are pain, which I kind of agree with. But I also just think that in a world where it's so easy to come across, people should take a more aggressive approach on not having these simple, easy, like, and I don't mean easy in terms of like conceptually easy pleasures, but just pleasures in terms of you doing nothing, just being a lazy piece of shit. And I'm not one to like vindicate hard work over everything. I've bashed on like this whole concept of hard work and how stupid it is. But there's certainly, I can't I'm not saying that, the sloth as one of the deadly sins doesn't not exist. Like it certainly does. Someone who just, or, the act of doing nothing or just being, gluttonous in any, I can't think of the right word here, but regardless, I certainly agree that that exists. And I'm not one to say that you should be grinding and working all the time or something, but I still think we should try to, I guess, develop ourselves into enjoying, enjoying more active pursuits and things that we enjoy, which is hard because it's not, of course it's easier just to sit there and watch a movie than it would be to like make your own movie. But I don't know. I think there's after a certain, you can get more comfortable in enjoying the creation process, even if it doesn't feel, I guess it's harder and harder now as kids younger and younger get exposed to this like super easy mode of just endless, stimulation and entertainment, which I think is just really unfortunate. I don't want to be entirely pessimistic on, the iPad baby generation, but it certainly doesn't look good for them. And I'm hoping there's some kind of revival. And I'm actually going to talk a bit about this in my next shitposty video, which is coming soon. Kind of soon, I suppose. It's all relative. But yeah, I hope there is some kind of, I don't know, change in societal values, so to speak. Hopefully that's not too convoluted, but anyway, I don't know. I think another existential threat to humanity is the monopoly of passive pleasure. When pleasures, active pleasures can no longer exist. Because the other thing is it also like, I don't know, a lot of it devalues maybe like the local influence, which I think was a big thing. Like now that we have like one artist that, Taylor Swift runs the world or something, in a historical age there was a lot more, talent. It was very distributed. Not to say that like there isn't talent all over the place, because there is, but I think the attention on said talent, because it was less available, you didn't have to be the Taylor Swift in order to have, in order to have any kind of, not that our audience is important, but in order to have any kind of anybody giving a shit, really. But now if you're not like literally the best on the entire planet, and like you have this huge, enormous YouTube channel that's like, if you're not benching 8,000 pounds like Larry Wheels, you're just never, no one gives a shit, right? So like the age of this person being the best in the village or the best in their even a smaller geographical region is just totally dead, which I don't know, it lends more people just kind of have a defeatist attitude towards doing anything, because we'll never be as good as Drake. But I think that's really the point is not to be the best. It's not we just remove all of this like ego, or I need to be the number one whatever. Like I know the shit that I make is terrible. I'm well aware of that, and I don't care. I think if anything, it's proof that I am doing the right thing, that it's awful, right? And it doesn't mean that I don't ever try to get better at anything, like like beat making or whatever, but it doesn't. I'm not doing it as some pursuit of mastery in some sense. I'm doing it as a I don't know, more beneficial development type of entertainment that I think is better, because I don't know, because there's also this trap about like only thinking and doing, these monetizable like skills, and only really thinking about this economic or, external value of stuff. And I've talked about external validation as its own premise of problematic thinking. And I don't know, I've tried, and I continue to try to remove sources and like this strong desire for external validation, because I do think it is also kind of a deadly trap to always be everything is dependent on other people's on external circumstances, not even just other people, but just other things, other systems, that because so many things now aren't even governed by people. They're just governed by autonomous systems that decide and curate our idea of quality and yada yada yada. But I don't know. I think trying to look internal. That's why I think rumination is so valuable. And it's not that I think more people should just be, because it's not consoling. It's not like I'm not happier after I ruminate for a few hours, not at all. If anything, it's probably the opposite. It's not consoling. Like, I think, I'm not sure what, maybe it's Nietzsche that said the philosophy is not consoling, and it's not meant to be. It's not designed to be. It's not supposed to like feel good that I've been thinking deeply about the nature of existence. It doesn't feel good at all. It feels horrible. But if anything, it's just kind of this, I don't know, it's true to human form, right? It's one of the only things that, one of the things that is a list of things that is getting shorter, of things that I think are, maybe not uniquely human, but very robustly human, right? It's a very human thing, and it's a very, I'm not saying it's always healthy to be human, because it's also, human to get sick and die. But I guess that's kind of part of the process too. I don't know. If that's really what what Fortuna has in store for me, then so be it, right? I'm not. It seems strange that, I don't know, people. There's all this like white knuckling. That's kind of the verb I like to use, is just white knuckling, meaning they're holding on for dear life for everything that, like, even just like, not to say that you shouldn't value life itself, because I do, but in a certain sense, like, the 10-year-old kid that gets bone cancer and dies is like, everyone's just white knuckling on for dear life. But no amount of that is ever, and I guess we could always push for better medicine so that it ends, but there will always be like catastrophes for us to white knuckle onto, right? If it's not cancer that kills a 10-year-old kid, it's the kid that just picks up a gun and shoots himself, right? Okay, we've banned guns, and there's no way for the kid to kill himself. Now he just jumps off the building, right? There's like all these, like, we're just so, I don't know, we want to white knuckle things so much, but it's not often that we stop and think, well, why do we want this so bad, right? And obviously, like, life is one thing to white knuckle onto. I don't mean to use that as the pony here. I should probably pick a different just topic entirely to speak about white knuckling. So maybe it's just, I don't know, careers or jobs or just things or just really anything. I don't know. Life might even just be the most emblematic of this idea, because it's so pervasive. Like, who doesn't, kind of white knuckle onto life and, like, not want to die. But I don't know. Maybe it's too stoic for me to say, but to a certain point, it's not. You don't really get to choose when you die, and I guess it doesn't mean that you can be a be a blob and just kill yourself by eating so much. But I mean, at a certain point, again, a lot of it is beyond your control, right? Whether or not you're going to get some horrible disease, and that doesn't mean to maximize the way things that'll kill you, because it's, that's just, well, I'm going to die anyway. But it certainly means that if there's, if the universe wants to eat you, or when it wants to eat you, because it'll eat everybody, it will, right? There's nothing you can do, so just let it be, right? It's okay, right? It's your time. I don't know. Aurelius spoke at length about this it's kind of just acceptance of death, and it's not like he was never, I guess, insensitive, because people are very profoundly concerned with death and when they're going to die, but he was very, like, it shouldn't be something that consumes your fear, and is this, I don't know, the modern verb I think of is just white knuckling. I think that's a fair word to or a fair phrase really to assign to it. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll move on to something else. But yeah, pain is a topic of discussion. Also, I guess with this kind of relates to the active versus passive pleasure or entertainment, or just like leisure time, I suppose. Like, I guess having more active leisure, like your leisure activity should be active, right? Instead of a, I don't know, very passive leisure. I already lost my train of thought. Atrophy. So the concept of atrophy is, you don't use it, you lose it kind of thinking. And that's, quite obvious to look at in the physical sense. Like, you can, if somebody gets an illness and can't exercise or something, their, legs will begin to atrophy. That's a very, very normal and well understood phenomenon. That's not not revolutionary by any sense of the means. But I want to speak more, I don't know, by other kinds of atrophy, right? I think might also be Aurelius. I just finished rereading Meditation, so that's why these Aurelius quotations are coming up so often. But what about, like, morality as a muscle, and if the if someone that doesn't practice being moral or doesn't really use the morality muscle, will that atrophy in a sense? And I suppose that, because I mentioned this goes back to the active versus passive pleasure thing, which I think it kind of does. If you atrophy your ability to have sort of active pleasures, right? Playing sports versus watching versus gambling on them. How much does that muscle atrophy? And I guess at a certain point, is it, where's the irreversible damage? I think everyone starts with a level that, at least in most people really, starts of, all their different kind of metaphysical muscles, so to speak, morality, I suppose, active pleasures and, self-discipline. There's all kinds of other, quote unquote, muscles that you could ascribe to humans, that we're given, some semblance of at birth, including like the literal physical muscles. But then it's kind of up to us to develop them, right? In the same way, you can't expect to, get bigger or get leaner or, I don't know, have any kind of physical change if you don't ever, train and kind of stress and use this muscle, right? Part of the, that's like the whole premise of going to the gym is to, I don't know, hypertrophy the muscles instead of letting them atrophy. But, I don't know, there's perhaps, I don't think, I don't know, there's kind of the whole rise of sociopathy as just in narcissism, and a lot of these traits that we see coming up through sociological means, meaning it's not a genetic, like there's not more narcissists and sociopaths born now just naturally, right? That's not like we're not just, it's not just happening randomly. They are created, and part of this might be due to these morality or these kind of social muscles or whatever you want to call it atrophying, right? Because I think with especially with social media and all with this new technology, we're seeing a lot of sociological changes in the next generation, and this is in children and in teens and whatever. But it's not because they're just more narcissists born now. There's more people that are egocentric or more depressed people. I mean, that's even one too, like anxiety and depression. It's not just there's more anxious people now, or even I would go so far to say it's not that, oh, it's like, well, we're just finding more anxious people. We're able to diagnose it better. It's like, you could, I don't know. It's not. I'm not saying I don't believe in any of these, like, mental illnesses, because I believe that they exist. I believe mental illnesses exist as an idea. They're not all fake, right? There's schizophrenia and all that stuff is real. Okay, that's not a joke. But I think we can't conflate something like Terry Davis schizophrenia with, like, a mom who's anxious, right? I think there's a huge difference there in terms of like mental illness, and equating those, on a pharmaceutical as well as like an actual like argumentative level, I think is problematic. And in the same sense, I don't think that it's just, oh, we're having, this wide case spread of anxiety and we just need to, dole out the meds more. It's like, that's not, how can that be the answer? Perhaps there's, again, to use I guess the metaphor here is there's muscles that we're not strengthening, right, in our youth. And these aren't physical muscles. I would argue that, people need to get in the gym too. But but muscles of morality and muscles of, I guess even just social awkwardness, because that's part of the real death I see of like relationships. And the problem, it's not that like people still like meeting in person. They're still like, that's still possible. But I think what people gauge now is like, I think there's a Key and Peele sketch a long time ago about it, but it's like everything just feels so awkward because we're so used to seeing like, templated, curated, TikToks or whatever the fuck of social interaction, but we don't realize how much interaction, like, historically or even just generally, is what we would call now, quote unquote, awkward. But it's not awkward, it's just normal. Like silence in conversation, it seems like, oh my God, it's so awkward. It's just like, we stood there for like 5 seconds. You realize people, like, historically there'd be like minutes of silence, between, debates and things, while people like thinking that's a normal thing. Is there's not everyone needs to be talking and sputtering, and that's part of the reason I think there's, I don't know, I do this all the time too. Is I jam in like and and all this other, I'm not even sure how to, like, just filler, just kind of like this extra filler of words. And it's not even that like I'm struggling to think of what to say, but your brain can process faster than your mouth can move. And because it's, quote unquote awkward for me to sit here in silence for 2 minutes, while I'm thinking of something, I end up just jamming in all these filler words. And so it's probably not even good practice for me to, to have to speak, continuously the whole time. But I don't know, that's kind of a whole different, a different thing. But just because we're so, I guess getting back to the whole atrophy of muscles thing, just because we're so used to seeing curated social interaction, we tend to think that's normal and everything else is awkward, which I think is again a problem of muscles that have atrophied. And again, it's not physical muscles; these are like metaphorical muscles. So, and I don't know. I'm not really sure what the solution is. Again, I can think about and speak solutions at an individual level because that's all I have control over. But at a social level, a wider social level, I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know what to make of the iPad babies and everything. I don't want to say they're screwed because I feel some kind of social obligation to fellow man. And that's maybe why I extrapolate a lot to other people too, is because it's not that I'm trying to apply my virtues to other people. It's just that I feel a certain, you have some kind of responsibility to the fellow man, especially at, our, advanced society. I feel like there's some inbuilt, maybe this is just my morality, me flexing my morality muscle. There's some inbuilt obligation to not be a dick, so to speak, because surely if I was like, I could be egocentric to the extreme and just do everything for my own benefit and everyone else can go burn in hell. But there's a certain, that feels just, that there's something wrong with that too. And I don't know, there's middle ground and nuance to all of it, but I feel as another part of the natural human condition, just something as natural as pain or pleasure or, I don't know, sorrow and joy, whatever, all that is already natural with humanity. I think an obligation to the fellow, the world and fellow man. And I guess there's different manifestations of this, right? This could be some kind of supernatural. This could be like a obligation to God or something spiritual. This could be something as simple as just not being a dick, right? It's kind of like the whole good deeds thing. I think, I don't know, there's just because we're in such a transactional, like our society is so inbuilt on these transactions, right? Everything is money. There's all a cost for everything, and there's a cost and a price for everything, and that kind of bleeds into every facet of our life, where we think everything has to cost something, or to, have to get a charge for everything you do. Don't do anything ever for free, which I hate that as like a business thing. Oh, don't ever do anything for free that you could get paid to do. It's like, how about fuck you? Like, no, I want to do this for free because I'm not a dick. Like, it's simple as that. Like, it doesn't mean I have to do everything for free all the time. But like, if I want to do something for free because I think it's the right thing to do, fuck you. Don't make me charge for it, or don't shame me for like not charging for it. Oh, you're a shitty businessman. I hope you are homeless and starved because you didn't charge for your work. It's like, I don't want to be the dickhead that has to charge for everything. So same with like good deeds. We don't ever want to do them just for no reason at all. We have to like remember that we did them and keep tabs. And that's why like I hate when it's like, you're arguing with somebody and they're like, well, when's the last time you did something for me? And then you're like, well, I don't know. And honestly, that should be the right answer, is because you shouldn't be keeping tabs on all the nice things you've done for people, because that's a dick thing to do. You should do nice things. You should hold the door. You should, help people. Just because you're a human, a fellow human, and you recognize that, you can help somebody, and it's no biggie for you. I'm not saying that you have to give away all your money and, be a slave to somebody else, but especially things that are just so inconsequential and easy. Why on earth are we like keeping tabs on stuff like that, right? I'm not going to remember when I held the door open for somebody. I'm just going to hold the door open because it's literally so easy for me. and it is helpful for someone else. I don't need to like charge them for it or like, where's my tip? Where's my tip? Like, go fuck yourself. Like, actually, just, I just feel like this should not be such a heretical idea that there is some like baseline moral obligation to just not being a dick. And I don't know, I think most people I think still have this, this muscle still exists and is used sometimes, but I think we're kind of forgetting that more and more, especially as I guess more of our things are, more of our systems become autonomous and everything is subjected to rules of, binary versus analog, right? If a computer is coded to know that this, this action always deserves a tip or something, it doesn't understand the nuance of sometimes things just, we just do it for free. It's just because it's the right thing to do. It's not, we don't have to do all of this just because it's been done that way before, right? And I don't know, there's a certain illogicality and hypocrisy that I think makes humans special and, I don't know, unique over, like, I guess the more powerful and computationally impressive computers. And I don't know. I guess that being said, I'm going to kind of 180 on this topic real quick to cover something else. And this is mostly about the other extremes. So the extreme I'm talking about, or what really should just be the average, is that most people aren't dicks. It's just, we're kind of, rewarding a minority of dicks, and we're training more people to act like dicks because being a dick is the successful thing to do, whatever. Anyway, so that's kind of like the general human. I want to talk about like the extremes of the depravity of humans, if I could be so bold as to use that language. I think I'm optimistic about, I think technology as a concept it's kind of it's antithetical to say technology would ever move backwards. I don't think it really can. And I'm not saying that it'll ever go backwards in a way that makes its good applications worse. Like, for example, like medical progress, we'll see medical technology progress. Maybe it'll plateau or something, but like the idea that it would go backwards is kind of, isn't really, it won't go backwards technologically, right? Technology will always move forward. That's kind of the whole thing of it. I think what will move backwards, or what can move backwards, is the humanity that controls said technology. So technology, while it will always improve and will always get quote unquote better, there's always going to be progress in technology. I think where we might see not progress, or the opposite of that, is where it's, again, applied poorly, or, I guess to be pessimistic about humans. So I think this is kind of a reflection of I believe it's like the cyberpunk is the philosophy, but it's where you're optimistic about technology, meaning that you're bullish on the abilities of technology and its capabilities, but you're pessimistic about humans. And it's not all humans per se. It's merely the ones that wield and will use technology in its worst form. Because ultimately that's what scalability gets you, is the ability for one to affect many. Versus if there was like a local town crazy, he could only really annoy and, plunder or whatever, like the one town that he was in. He wasn't like a worldwide dick. But now, like, with the advent of technology that makes a lot of this, a lot of things scalable, we could have, like, every town's dickbag person now has the nuclear launch code equivalent of the ability to wreak havoc on innocent communities and whatnot, which I think is the part that I'm pessimistic about. So I still think in general, human nature will be preserved. We will have people that, fight the good fight. But I am pessimistic about the hands of which this technology will fall in. And I don't really have a solution for that either. Again, I can only really look at myself and be concerned with myself, in the sense that if I'm ever in the position to wield any kind of technology power that could, wreak havoc, to use that responsibly, to to make Uncle Ben proud, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know. So I think that I just wanted to kind of touch on the cyberpunk philosophy because I think it's interesting, especially as we go more towards the quote unquote cyberpunk dystopia meme, which is I don't know, kind of funny. But anyway, let's see here. Um, hmm. Yeah, I can also talk. This is kind of related to the point I talked about earlier about everything like costing money and everything is worth money and money. Kind of just running everything, which again is the world we live in. Uh, kind of fighting against it to the effect that I can, but it is what it is. Um, and I don't know. My positioning in life right now is unfortunate. I am broke. Yes, that is not the problem. The problem is that I have any kind of even small part of me, and this isn't the majority of me, but there's a small part of me that believes, I think naively and incorrectly, that money would solve problems that I'm having, which I think is the part that is frustrating me. So it's not that, I don't have any money. That's fine. I don't care. I really shouldn't care. It's not that I don't, but I think there's a part of me that thinks that if I had money or could have, something, let's say I had a house or whatever, all this other material shit that people, spend most of their waking hours moving towards. I believe, and I kind of don't believe, I know that isn't going to solve my problems are just going to manifest into something else. But the fact that any part of me believes that money could solve my problems is the part that frustrates me individually because I know that it's bullshit. And I don't know. It's not that I don't. I guess on a different level, I don't. I guess I don't hate money. I just hate how money has been abstracted into everything and how everything is kind of money and the implementations. Because money as again, I've spoken about this before, but like as a philosophical concept is a very fascinating and useful idea, right? It's a kind of universal like store of value in some sense. But the problem is that's just not what it is anymore. It just does not represent value. And I think like the percentage of value it represents, for example, like I think maybe at one point it represented, the actual loaf of bread of a day's work or, the cow or again, maybe things that have more material, like obvious, like this is $1 worth of value. But now like the fraction is, asymptotically reaching this almost a level of zero, not a level of zero per se, but like a level of like 15% of money that exists is actually represents the value that has been created by that money. You can look at entire industries that I think are, what I would say are value bankrupt in the sense they don't produce or add value to anything. I could catch heat for the examples here, but like, like finance and consulting is like, 25%. Like, these are things that, for millennia, they never existed. And you could make a very strong case that they don't produce anything of value at all. Or if they did, it's not because of value that they create. It's just they're kind of inventing problems to then solve it themselves, which is just more of I guess, function of bureaucracy. I think part of something I've noticed about like problems, and this is mostly just listening to people's really horrible startup ideas, is they don't realize that like the problem that they're solving, like, oh, this market is so inefficient, or oh, this business is so inefficient. Some of these inefficiencies, they exist. I'm not saying that you're wrong about, like, I agree with you that this is inefficient and you could save the company money, but or this, this enormous company or this whole sector money by doing this and that. But many of these businesses and just entities they exist, like they are solving a problem that they have created. Like they are basically like poisoning you and then selling you the solution kind of thinking. And you're like, and a lot of them are so massive that like talking larger companies out of the way they're doing things now is a foolish idea. It's like you're just never going to win. And part of it's just battling like bureaucracy to some extent. Like you're just never going to win, a lawsuit against, I don't know. It's like filing a lawsuit against the Supreme Court or something. It's like they're like it, you just, by definition, almost, you just cannot win. And it's kind of a problem that, yes, I agree that's like a frustrating problem for you and you want to solve it with this stupid business. But I don't mean to say that you're never going to win, but this problem exists on purpose. And the people that could solve this problem are very aware they could solve this problem. But they have a lot of money to make if this problem continues to exist. So good luck talking them out of out of that out of that problem, because I just don't think you will. Which is unfortunate because what is this? Oh no, that's right. Because I don't know, because you would, in an ideal world, if there wasn't inefficiency or a problem that somebody could solve, that this would be like, it would never boil down to, oh, you can't do this because like people are making money off this problem existing, which is, just seems stupid, right? Right? If you could, isn't that the whole catch of this free market is like, oh, the inefficiencies will be corrected by the free market. Well, if the free market like creates this fake market for this problem that doesn't exist and then gets so large that it has this monopoly on this fake problem, that even like the real solution to the fake problem it can't exist because this market's too big. Like it's, it's unfortunate. I don't really know how else to say it. I wish it didn't work that way, but it does. And I don't know, maybe that's just part of, being an adult and realizing that life is completely unfair, and that's just kind of the way it works. So you shouldn't white knuckle it to the extent that people are. Which is not to say you can't fight the power, because I think you should, but do it in ways that you can control and you can do. So that's why, I don't know, my own little anarchy push is just a lot of self-hosting stuff, which I think is helpful. It just gets me out of I don't know, it helps me learn a lot. Part of my thing I hate about things that like cloud services or just like apps that tend to solve all these technical problems is a lot of them, they're just more abstractions on problems that aren't that difficult. And if you just understood like the basic fundamental principles, these problems are stupid, and like their solution is stupid. It doesn't, you don't have to, like, this just doesn't need to exist. It's just simpler if you just do it yourself. So that's what I've noticed about like self-hosting a lot of, this is specifically about technology, so this has nothing to do with just bureaucracy. There's other other sectors and things that my other points would be a lot more relevant. But with self-hosting, a lot of it's actually less complicated to just learn how to host a damn thing up yourself on a fucking Raspberry Pi or a laptop than it would be to learn like Google's suite of fucking hot garbage app engine. Like, how many fucking services these services, like what the underlying stuff is actually not that complicated. They just have money to make on like you not even bothering to understand it, and then paying for app engine and like, oh, these functions, these cloudless, and these we'll have these containerization and like containers within containers within containers. It's like, dude, just run it on a fucking machine. Or even like sometimes VMs are too much of an abstraction. You honestly don't even fucking need it. Like your stupid app with 10 users does not need 40 applications to power its thing. It's just, a lot of it's just, I don't know, people just poisoning themselves and then using their hard-earned money to buy the antidote that they don't fucking need. And again, in an ideal world, we just would have people that are capable of just learning it themselves and applying it, and not those, App Engine would go out of business, or, they wouldn't go out of business. It's Google's thing, but it wouldn't exist anymore. People would like stop using App Engine, and then it would die. But it won't, because people, like, there's this whole, there's billions of dollars being made on this, and it's unfortunate. And it frustrates me just with computing because it's so ubiquitous. Like the amount of storage, and the part that kills me is the people will pay for like cloud storage. Like they'll pay like $20 a month or something for like 20 gigabytes. You can buy 16 terabytes of storage, hard storage, like hard drives. SSDs are a little more expensive just because they're faster, but you can buy 16 fucking terabytes permanent storage, not monthly, permanent storage, your actual hard drive, for like, I don't know, $80 once. So do the math. It very quickly ends up being way more economical for you to just buy actual hardware and do it yourself. But no one's ever going to tell you that, because Apple wants you to, back up your photos and, in their proprietary hike format, and, so that way you could pay for our stupid cloud storage, which is it's annoying that people that like the technology is there, storage is fucking cheap, right? The people there's less hard drives being sold now than ever, so they're just only getting cheaper, and nobody gives a fucking shit. They're just gonna happily pay for Google to store just one measly terabyte. 1 terabyte is nothing in terms of storage. I have like 8 I have like 40 terabytes, and I've been making these stupid videos are like 8 gigabytes a pop, and it doesn't even put a drop in the fucking bucket, in the actual storage that I use, and it's just frustrating that this is all just like almost just like a public disinformation campaign. It's like they're just actively sabotaging like people's best interests. And maybe that's just why I'm so adamant on like just for one like the whole self-hosting thing, because again a lot of it's just not that complicated. It's just that you're sold on these solutions that oh, don't worry, it's too complicated for you, you can't learn. It's like, dude, it's not complicated at all. Like you gotta have like some resolve and spend 20 minutes uncomfortable learning something, like, oh no, like what's gonna happen, you're confused for 20 minutes. It's like, dude, you have literally a actual mountain of information at your fingertips, and you're scared of being uncertain for 10 fucking minutes about something. I don't know, it's frustrating. Just on the education front, and it'd be one thing if like I was trying to get people to care more about like obscure tax or accounting laws. Like those are stupid. These are technologies that you guys use every fucking day. You sit there and stare at your phone, use your computer all day or email, but you're not even bothered to know like the first fucking thing. And I realize it comes off as very biased as someone like a technologist like myself, speaking about how important like technology literacy is, but we're all using it more and more and more and more every day. It's not like I don't use an ultrasound machine every day, so it's like it's kind of a hard sell getting me to like learn and understand an ultrasound machine. But if I was using an ultrasound machine every fucking day, I would probably want to know how it works and what to like. I would want to know more shit about it. But like people don't have this same like, do not apply that same philosophy to like their phones. They just don't care. They don't care how it works. Race car go fast, boom, vroom vroom. Because we're all race car Johnnies in some sense. But especially when it comes to something you're using every day, it's kind of a stupid thing to just be willfully ignorant if you use it every day. Like just because I never use an ultrasound machine, I'm probably never going to learn much about the ultrasound machine. If there's a point where I start using it every day, then I would. And because I use a computer every day, I kind of want to understand how it all fucking works, because I use it every day. Same with like the gym. I go to the gym almost every day. It's 4 times a week now, but sometimes it's 6, whatever. I'm going to want to learn about the human body and exercise and diet, and I'm learning about all that stuff because it's good, and I do it every day. And it's like, I'm attached to a human body, so it makes sense for me to learn it. But like people are attached to phones and computers but don't give a fucking shit how they work. This makes no sense. Like you have an active, I don't think it applies the same as like, some niche accounting thing or some other stuff that people try like, oh, you should understand this is really important. Some of that stuff doesn't, like buying a house and stuff. I'm not going to buy a house anywhere fucking like the next 20 years. So why the fuck would I give a shit about that? But I'm using a computer every day. So I should probably give a fuck about what the computer does and how it works. I don't know. It's frustrating to get on the soapbox about technology literacy just because people are so damn illiterate, and they're happily illiterate. It's not even like they're frustrated, but there's just, plus with the wealth of information it exists, it's baffling that just no one cares. And schools certainly aren't helping, and I don't know, it's too bad. It is what it is. But I suppose for myself, I can control myself and what I do, but I can have some obligation to the fellow man. So that's why I feel so strongly that people should invest some of their time in understanding things that they do every day, right? In order to optimize it, or to even just use it like things that you don't understand. I'm not sure if it's possible to like have a healthy relationship with something you don't like, that you use so intimately that you don't understand. It's not that it's not possible. It's just a very dangerous recipe, right? Using something every single day, not having a clue how it works. It's like using power tools every day, like a chainsaw or something. And if I just never bothered to, like, I didn't even know what the power cord, like I had no idea. All I did was just like pick up the chainsaw and use it. It's probably pretty dangerous, you know, to not know what the power cord is, or where the stop switch is, or, you know, what the different, you know, what even just the anatomy of the chainsaw. You know, I'm not saying that a phone is a chainsaw. I don't mean to draw that comparison, because that's a bit absurd, but in a lot of ways it it can kind of apply in the same sense. Like, we're using this, we're almost just picking up these raw power tools every day and just daily driving them, but then we don't even give a thought to how it works. We don't even, oh, what's the power cable? I don't know what that looks like. This is just this cable that just, I don't know, is always plugged in the wall. I don't have to look at it. You know, it's like, wouldn't it, in order to use this safely and responsibly, wouldn't you want to know a little bit about what the fuck you're doing? You know, I don't know. It's just, it seems a little backwards to me that people are so cavalier about not understanding things. And I don't know. Again, it is what it is. But I think there will be, I hope there will be at least some motion away from either dependence on it or a motion towards better understanding of it, where it's more ubiquitous, well understood. Because even something like the whole data privacy thing, most people just, not only do they not care, even if they do know, but they're so far abstracted from how any of it works, and they're just so, you know, nonchalant about not caring. And again, it's something that they're so intimately familiar with. Like, they know, your phone knows more about you than, you know, your wife or your daughter or whatever. Who else, whoever's important in your life, your phone probably knows more about that than you, but you don't care. You know, it's just a chainsaw just sitting there, and it'll be ready to vroom vroom when you're ready. So, you know, pick her up and go to town. But anyway, am I at my yeah, I'm at my limit. Wanted to cut it off before things got too crazy. But anyway, I'll wrap it up there for today. But yeah, too bad I couldn't finish this this farm at time. I got one more layer. But anyway, that'll be it this time. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.